First off, for those of you who don't know who Ratchet and Clank are, I'll give you a quick summary. Ratchet is a lombax, a fictional species made up for the series that resembles a bipedal feline. He's also a tinkerer that longs to travel the solar system. He's accompanied by Clank, a fugitive and defective warbot. The two meet when Clank crash lands near Ratchet's garage, as Clank is on his way to warn the Galactic Rangers of an impending attack by his fellow warbots. The giant and non-defective ones, of course. With Clank desiring to get to the Rangers and Ratchet wanting to join them after he was denied entry even after completing the Rangers Recruit Challenge in flying colors, the two join forces to complete their mission. And that's how they met. I won't go further into detail as to avoid spoilers since this game is very similar to the first in the series. Now, Ratchet and Clank 2016 is a reboot of Ratchet and Clank from 2002. But the special thing about this reboot is that it is not a direct reboot of the original game. But it is a game based on the new movie that hasn't come out yet, that is based on the game. You heard that right, folks. This is a game based on the movie based on the game, and that's just the tagline they used to promote it. If that tagline didn't give you a little glimpse of the personality that this franchise possesses, here's a few names of the previous games. Ratchet and Clank, Going Commando. Ratchet and Clank, Quest for Booty. Ratchet and Clank, Size Matters. And my personal favorite, Ratchet and Clank, Up Your Arsenal. This game series is full of dumb humor that appealed so highly to my elementary school self when they came out back in the day. So when I heard they were rebooting one of my favorite series of all time and they were making a movie to go with it, I was sold. The game starts off in a prison block with an inmate named Shiv. Shiv is being escorted to his new cell and introduced to his new cellmate, none other than the lovable douchebag, Captain Quark.
Greetings, new fish. I'm Captain Quark.
Shiv, being a huge fan of the captain, tells Quark that he has pre-ordered the new game based on the incident with Quark and a Lombax. Quark is confused and thinks he means the movie that came out about Ratchet and Clank. He is mistaken, as that's right, this game is based on the movie. Now let's stop right there for a second. This means we have a game based on a movie inside of a game based on a movie that's based on a game. Does anyone else's head hurt? Back on topic. This sets up the best way I've ever seen a reboot being explained. Quark goes on to say no one would ever hear his side of the story, and how everything is mistaken in the movie. Then Shiv says,
I'd like to hear your side, Captain.
You would? Well, then sit down, wary criminal, and I'll tell you a story.
This sets up the tale of Ratchet and Clank with an added bonus of Quark narrating from time to time, and thus the actual gameplay starts, and so does this review. The game handles immediately like a classic PS2 game, except with the stunning cartoon graphics and cleaner and clearer voice acting. The jumping is fluid and the game doesn't hold your hand too much in the tutorial level where you go through the Ranger course as Ratchet and then shows you how Clank-centric levels will handle as you use your mind to solve puzzles. It briefly will show you how to do something like twisting a bolt to activate a mechanism somewhere in the room, or tell you that a certain robot is used for reaching greater heights, but this game really only shows you ways to explore the world more. Speaking of exploring, the gunplay helps you explore your playstyle and doesn't limit you to one way or another. When you think, I wonder if I can jump, do a flip, and fire my gun at the same time while fighting a flying enemy, the game doesn't limit you to a certain playstyle for every enemy. It rewards you for exploring different ways of playing and using different guns. But I'll get back to that in a moment. Besides the tip to strafe, shoot, and lock onto nearby targets, the game never once tells you how to beat an enemy. Because get this, there's more than one way. With the plethora of weapons that are just as ridiculous as they are dangerous, it leaves the open-ended question of, how do I kill this thing, with an endless amount of answers. Which leads me back to, in my opinion, the best part of these games, the weapons. My God, the weapons. There's a huge variety of weapons, from the Omni Wrench to the Combustor Pistol to a Grenade Glove to a shotgun that turns enemies into pixels, aptly named the Pixelizer, to the room-clearing Proton Drum, to the Pyrocitor Flamethrower, to the bouncing magnet grenade gun, the Bouncer. Yeah, not all the guns have creative names, okay? To the Groovatron. Oh, what's the Groovatron, you may be asking? Only the most ridiculous and awesome weapon in the game. Let's take a look at my favorite combination of weapons, the Groovatron followed up by a Proton Drum. Yeah, that's right. It makes enemies stop whatever they're doing and have a dance party, while you demolish them from afar with a pulsating proton drum. Or if you really want to have some fun, hit them with a pixelizer while they shake their robotic butts. I'm sure you're asking, yeah, that's cool, Eric, but what about a tank? Can it make a tank dance? Oh yes, yes it can make a tank dance. In true form, this game goes from ridiculous to full-on outlandish as a tank does the moonwalk on the middle of a battlefield. Speaking of the tank, this is just one of the many different enemies you'll come across in this game. Every planet introduces a new type of enemy as well as bringing in the mercenaries that are trying to kill you from planet to planet, making the game feel like a continuous story and not just a clear each planet and move on type of game. Each enemy has different dialogue they'll yell at you during the fight, different behavior, and different mechanics, making each encounter a rewarding challenge and makes you think of the best possible angle to take on the situation. And man, oh man, the rewarding feeling of having 1,000 bolts fly towards Ratchet after a big battle is one of the most satisfying feelings I've felt in a long, long time. Speaking of bolts, these are one of the 2 economy systems in the game. Bolts are used to purchase new weapons at a vendor. The prices may seem high, but completing a section of the planet will always net you enough bolts to purchase a new gun and some upgrades. Oh right, the upgrades. One of the smartest things in gaming is separating the regular money from the material used to upgrade guns. This way you're never in a dilemma of purchasing a new gun or upgrading an old one. You can always do both. And on top of upgrading any gun, there's also a level system involved for Ratchet and his guns. It works just like any other level system: kill an enemy, get XP, and when you level up you get more health. The guns work the same way, where you use the gun more, level it up, and you can do more damage. This way, by the end of the game, your favorite guns will be supercharged with a fully upgraded system and max damage. Now to cover the environment that all these stories take place in. I played for about 2 hours and experienced 5 different planets and the environments that they produced. Each one felt different and introduced new elements to the game and had their own different challenges and places to return to and explore with abilities you will unlock later in the game. New obstacles and enemies, as mentioned before, keep it fresh and new, but are still grounded in the smooth gunplay and creative ability to destroy your enemies. All this amazing gameplay and gunfighting is just the tip of the iceberg for this game. Getting a little bored of crushing robot dance parties into tiny pixel mounds? Head to the chilly planet Rilgar for some high-speed hoverboard racing. One of the many side quests in this game is to win the 3 cups at Rilgar and become champion, and it is a blast and a nice break from the typical gameplay, as well as a nice way to get some extra bolts. Oh, and speaking of breaking from the typical gameplay, I was smiling like an idiot when the game throws you into a level where you fly over Illyrio City to get in a dogfight with the Blarg mercenaries that are attacking the Galactic Rangers base. That's right, you get to fly a frickin' spaceship through a city, hucking robots at a warship and destroying the dropships. The dogfight is definitely a fun change of pace, using different mechanics to take down the warship that of course is the level's boss, as well as Clank chiming in different ways to fight it, showing the balance between Ratchet's skill and Clank's smarts, and making it a very satisfying victory when it's all said and done. I would like to touch on the card system briefly. Throughout the game, by means of exploring or killing enemies, you collect holo cards that dive into the lore of the game. For those of you who have never played a Ratchet and Clank game, or for those of you, like myself, who love reliving the old stuff, it makes a great way to connect to the game more and find out who's an old character and who's new to the reboot. And this isn't just a way to extend the game by having you collect useless crap. It rewards you by giving you bonuses to the game, like upgraded weapon damage for completing a set. It is a great mechanic that benefits old and new players alike. And I know by now you're probably like, oh, but Eric, there has to be bad things about this game. Your nostalgia vision is just too strong to see the bad. And yes, I do have a mass amount of nostalgia for this game, but to be honest, to compare this game to any other game out there, you just can't. Games like this don't happen anymore. They just don't get made. With all the clones of other games and the annual release of the same but different first-person shooters, Ratchet and Clank is a breath of fresh air. Is it incredibly difficult? Does it blow your mind with new game mechanics we've never seen before? No to both. But that's not the point. Ratchet and Clank is a callback to its predecessors before it in games like Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, and of course the original Ratchet and Clank games. The games that were just fun. Ratchet and Clank is just that, a fun game that allows for multiple playthroughs with different modifiers, cheats, and difficulties to spice it up. I hope this resparks the interest in games similar to this, and hopefully next year we'll be getting a pure brand new Ratchet and Clank game, or sometime soon, and many more games like it. I'm looking at you, Naughty Dog. Overall, this game is a blast. At the asking price of $40, you'd be a fool to pass it up. And for our first ever Gone Gold gaming review, I'm giving Ratchet and Clank a 9.5 out of 10. So please go out there and get this game. Tell your friends about it. Make this series popular again because we need games like this. And that about wraps it up. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. It'll be the first of many more. I enjoyed making this, so leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, all that nonsense. Let us know what you think, because hopefully we'll be trying to get one of these out every Saturday from here on forward. And of course, from everyone here at Gone Gold Gaming, I'm Eric the Human. Happy gaming and stay golden.